Welcome to Crawmen. This is a story of a husband seeking revenge against his unfaithful and cheating wife. At the beginning of the story, we see Edward and Connie, a married couple who are very happy in their life. They have an 8-year-old son, Charlie, and the family lives in New York. One day, Edward leaves for his office and drops Charlie off at school. A little while later, Connie also goes out for shopping. She wants to buy a birthday gift for Charlie. However, the weather suddenly takes a turn for the worse, making it difficult for her to return home. At the same time, a handsome young man is also trying to get home. While carrying his books, he accidentally bumps into Connie, causing her to fall on top of him. They quickly regain their balance and help each other pick up their belongings. Connie then tries to find a cab, but due to the bad weather, no driver is willing to take passengers. Meanwhile, she realizes that she has injured her knee from the fall and is unable to walk properly. Seeing this, Paul tells her that he lives nearby and offers to treat her injury. Upon entering Paul's apartment, Connie goes to the bathroom to clean up. Paul gives her a bandage for her wound. She calls it home. As she speaks with her family, Paul offers her an ice pack for her injury. However, Connie starts feeling uncomfortable in his presence and decides to leave. Before she goes, Paul gifts her a book. He tells her that he is a book dealer. Connie reaches home. Later, Edward arrives home and asks Connie about her day. She tells him about the incident, and Edward jokingly asks if the guy was attractive and suggests that Connie should gift the young man a bottle of wine as a token of appreciation. Later that night, Edward and Connie are intimate in the bed when Charlie calls them, interrupting in the middle. The next day, while alone at home, Connie starts reading the book Paul had given her. Inside, she finds a note with Paul's phone number. Out of curiosity, she goes to a nearby telephone booth and calls him. Paul answers her call and invites her over for coffee. When she visits his place, Paul flirts with her. Though Connie enjoys the attention, she controls herself and leaves. She then goes straight to Edward's office to surprise him. However, she lies to him, saying that she had gone out for a school auction event. Even though Connie and Edward have a good married life, she feels strangely drawn to Paul. The next day, she visits him again. Seeing her, Paul flirts with her once more. Slowly, the attraction between them grows stronger. Eventually, Paul picks her up and carries her to his bedroom, where have sex. One day, Edward leaves work a little early to go home. On the way, he runs into a friend and he asks him about the school auction that Connie had mentioned to him earlier. His friend tells him that he had been out of town for a while and that Connie never contacted him about any auction. This makes Edward realize that Connie had lied to him. That night, he questions her about it. Connie feels nervous but says, "I love only you." Despite this, she continues talking to Paul, leading a double life. She is cheating on her husband, and at the same time, she enjoys her secret interactions with Paul. Later in the story, we see Connie and Paul meet at a hotel, where they share intimate moments unknown to them. One of Edward's friends spots them but chooses to stay silent and leaves. Later, while taking a shower, Connie finds herself thinking about Paul and wishes she could be with him. Just then, Edward enters the bathroom and tries to kiss her in the water, but she refuses, saying she's not in the mood. Edward is confused by her behavior. The next day, as Connie gets ready to leave, Edward offers to take her out for lunch, but she makes an excuse, claiming she has a salon appointment. Edward is suspicious of her and calls the salon and finds out that Connie never had an appointment. She had lied to him. Again, when Connie was heading towards Paul's apartment, she runs into two old friends, who invite her for coffee. She calls Paul and asks him to wait for her. Soon after, Paul arrives at the coffee shop and subtly signals Connie to follow him. They start getting intimate right there in the shop in the washroom. Later, Connie returns to her friends, who gush about how handsome Paul is, unaware that Connie is having an affair with him. Meanwhile, Edward fires his employee, Bill, after discovering that he had been leaking company secrets to competitors. As Bill leaves in anger, he taunts Edward, saying, "Before you talk about others, take a good look at your own family." Edward is concerned now. To find out the truth, Edward hires a private detective named Frank to follow Connie. That night, Edward pretends everything is normal and tells Connie that he will be out the next day. Thinking she has the perfect opportunity, Connie gets ready to meet Paul and spends the entire day with him. However, she is unaware that Frank is secretly taking photos of them. Connie becomes so involved with Paul that she forgets to pick up Charlie from school. Later, Frank shows Edward the photos of Connie and Paul together. Edward is shocked and has profound grief. Meanwhile, Connie, unaware of what's coming, heads to Paul's apartment to talk to him. But then she sees Paul with another woman, and this makes her furious. Connie confronts Paul and tells him that she cannot continue the affair any longer. Meanwhile, Edward arrives at Paul's apartment. He has decided to confront Paul face to face. Paul lets him inside, and they begin discussing Connie. As Edward looks around the apartment, he is shocked to see a snow globe, the same one he had gifted to Connie. When he questions Paul about it, Paul casually replies that Connie gave it to him. Hearing this, Edward is devastated. Overcome with rage, he grabs the snow globe and violently attacks Paul, killing him instantly. As he cleans up the evidence, Edward checks Paul's phone and finds a message from Connie. In it, she tells Paul that she cannot keep lying to her family and wants to end the affair for good. Edward deletes all the messages and erases any traces of their affair. He then drags Paul's body into his car and heads straight to Charlie's stage performance, where he meets Connie as if nothing has happened. Later that night, Edward drives to a deserted area and disposes of Paul's body. A few days later, detectives arrive at Edward's house and question Connie about Paul's disappearance. His wife had reported him missing. Connie pretends not to know much about Paul, saying she barely knew him. As time passes, things return to normal, but a week later, the detectives return with shocking news. They have found Paul's body. They ask Connie when she last saw Paul. She lies and says she met him briefly at an event. After learning of Paul's death, Connie becomes extremely depressed but tries to suppress her emotions. One day, while doing laundry, Connie finds an old photograph of herself and Paul inside Edward's jacket. At that moment, she realizes that Edward knew about the affair all along. Then, she notices the snow globe, the same one she had given to Paul, back in their collection. That night, Connie confronts Edward and finally he admits he killed him. He admits that he never intended to kill him, but in a moment of uncontrollable rage, he ended Paul's life. But now, the past cannot be changed. Edward and Connie try to return to their normal lives. One day, Connie picks up the same snow globe, the one Edward had used in the murder, and finds an old photograph inside it. She becomes emotional and finally realizes how much Edward truly loves her. At that moment, she decides to let go of the past. To move on, she burns all her pictures with Paul. She reflects on how different her life would have been if she had never gone to Paul's apartment that day. Meanwhile, Edward, feeling immense guilt for what he has done, tells Connie that he will turn himself in for Paul's murder. But Connie stops him, reassuring him that they will find a way to move forward and rebuild their lives together. The next day, Edward parks his car near the police station, contemplating surrendering himself. And with that, the story comes to an end. This movie is Unfaithful and it was released in 2002 and has an IMDb rating of 6. I hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe to this channel.